First, I'm going to start. Well, let's start in Photoshop. It's not as easy to do a lot of stuff in Photoshop. And one of the reasons is because instead of dealing with objects like we deal in Illustrator, each type can be an object, but that can all go in one layer. In Photoshop, one type element, a headline, a word, a letter, a paragraph, whatever, when you're done typing, boom, that's it. You can go back and edit it, but it creates it on a new layer. If I wanted to put two headlines on one layer, you can't. The two different elements. So you put them on separate layers. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Use the type tool and you just click anywhere. You get your insertion point. And I'm going to just type the word type. Be real original. How about type is great. Command A selects all, just like in Illustrator. Command Shift greater than will make it bigger, just like in Illustrator. So we're going to make it quite big here on the screen. And you can see it's 46 points. And I'm going to change it from the default to something that's a little more interesting. Okay. And there it is. Now, when I clicked, it created a new type layer here. It says layer 1. But as soon as I'm done here, and I go to another layer, or click on that layer, it takes the first word or the first few words and labels that type layer, which is a pretty cool way to keep track of that. You need to do this when you're in Photoshop. You bring in a photo, it goes on its own layer, name it. Particularly if you're editing just a little tiny element in it, on the little thumbnail on your list, you can't even see what it is. Always label it. Well, it does that for you automatically in type. So if I want to create something else here, another one, I'm going to go click right underneath it. You can't beat return key typography. Okay, and notice it creates a new layer. And when I go over here and click on the layer, as much as it can get on that space, it labels it. So you can easily go back and forth. Why? Because when you look at this, it looks like it's on one layer. Now, we use this tool up here in the upper left-hand corner, the Move tool, for doing a lot of stuff. We can move this. See, when I click on the type, it goes to that layer. When I click on this type, it goes to that layer. So even though they're on separate layers, it's pretty easy for you to select. If I want to then change the word type to something else, different keystrokes, or color it or make it bigger, I've got to select that type. And so use your type tool, and I can press and drag over that type. If I'm on that layer, got to be on that layer. I come down here, I'm not on that layer. Now I'm on the layer. Okay, so just like in Illustrator, you double click on it, selects one word. Triple click on it, selects the whole line. Quadruple click, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it selects the whole paragraph. Or you can do the press and drag. So if that's new to you, try those things out, because you need to know how to select type very, very quickly. So I'm going to double click on the word type. I'm on that layer, and I want to color it, just like you would color anything. You select the foreground color, change the new color, okay, and anything that's highlighted changes. So this is type. Type is defined as the mechanism to reproduce letter forms. If you had wood letters or metal letters, type, and you would put ink on the top of them and then transfer that onto paper, that's printing. That's why they call it type, metal type. But once it creates an image on the paper, that's not type. It's just a picture of letter forms. The type would be the metal or the wood or whatever it is. Well, today we use digital fonts, digital type. And the information that describes how to image that letter form or character on a surface, whether it be a piece of paper or on the screen, that's in a little piece of software. It's called a font. And a font is made up of all of the characters and numerals and symbols and that has been developed for one single typeface. That's the design, like Helvetica, with a particular type style applied to it, like bold. So Helvetica Bold is one font. You can see here, when you go up to your type menu, you're like, where are the fonts? Unlike an Illustrator, well, if you type Command T, no, that's not it. Window, no type in the window. How do you get the type here? Well, it is kind of like Illustrator in that this little control bar up here, not a window. It's not a panel. You can find it here at the top all the time because it's contextual. So if I have type selected, I can change the type from here. I can Command Shift greater than to make it bigger. But it's type. Type is keystroke with formatting applied to it. So you can see all up here. These here are all the typefaces on the left column. Now, this typeface, Ondale Mono, has only one design to it. Your regular, your plain design. But here, Arial, because it's got this little arrow, it's pop out, I can click on that, and there are 4 different type styles available in that typeface design. Each one of these, Arial Regular, looks like this, Arial Italic, Arial Bold Italic, each one of those is a font. And all of these fonts together make up the Arial family of fonts. So if you're going to be, say, using just 2 typefaces in your design, but you want a lot of variety, then find a typeface that has a big family, a lot of fonts, styles to it that you can use to create contrast and interest, but it keeps the same design and looks unified and works pretty good. Okay, so I can take this type layer right here, and I can go, I can right click on it, or in a Mac, control click, and I can come down here and say, rasterize this type. The imagery that the font creates on the screen as type is extracted, digitized, and made as a raster image. So now this type works like a graphic. It's not type anymore. I can't do that with, I go on the type layer and I can't even use the eraser tool. I can't use any tool on that. All I can use is a type tool. I can use a selection tool. No, I can't even use that one. Just the type tool is all I can use. But see, now this type is, I can't recover that information unless I go back in history, undo, or retype it as type.